Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing an unboxing and review for my Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition Play Arts action figure, Volume 4, Sakura figure, and I'm definitely going to have to shorten the name up for that. This is my second time actually doing the video, so technically it won't be an unboxing, and there's really nothing to unbox, it's just a figure and you take it out. But I actually got to mess around with it a little bit already, so it'll actually be a better review this time around because I already know how it actually articulates and how it works a little bit. But this is the figure right here. It is Sakura. I have autofocus on this time, so I'll be able to do kind of like zoom ins and zooms out and show you guys a lot of the different features. But simply put, I like this. It's really cool. I'm not super experienced with having figures. I only have two. I have this one, which this is my first day ever opening it. I've had it for probably over a year now. I'm pretty sure the convention I got it at last year passed. So I've had it for like a full year and haven't even opened it yet because I still technically don't have any space at home to do it. But I've had it for such a long time. I was like, you know what? I want to open this figure. I want to mess around with it. It's probably going to go right back in the box after this video, to be totally honest, because like I said, I still don't have any space. But I wanted to open it up and play around with it. I never bought it for collecting or anything like that. It was meant to be opened for me personally, at least. So I'm glad to finally be getting around to it. I wanted to do a review on it because I've never had a figure myself, so I wanted to do a video like this and talk about what I like about it, and things I don't like. If there's anything I don't like so far, I pretty much like all of it. It's a pretty simple figure. I mean, Sakura is my favorite character from Street Fighter, so that's why I was, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I want that. And then I noticed, like I saw how, different points of articulation it had, and it has a bunch. Her head can move a little bit back. It's basically her head is, it's either straight or down, but you can do left and right. You can turn it fairly far if you wanted to. It is on a ball joint, so you could pretty much turn it, a certain distance. Her hair is fairly solid, so you kind of have to be careful with exactly how far you turn it. But you can turn her head fairly far, which I thought was pretty cool. Her arms, they go up. Unfortunately, this is probably one of the few things, and it's so far the only stuff that I've found that bothers me is in the arms. And the arms, first off, they can only go up and down. They do not open out at all. So you can't have them open out wide. Whoops. Okay, so there's her hair. So I wasn't going to do that just yet, but her hair just popped off. So, outside of her arms, not being able to go outward, they only go up and down. They can't go 360 either, which for the most part you probably wouldn't do that anyway because it's more of a figure sort of deal. Now this just looks super weird, so I'm going to cover that up. But aside from them not opening up or going 360, her hands also can't really articulate too much. They can only, be spun around 360 degrees. And once again, that's not that big of a deal for me because especially with the wrist, is like there's not much of a difference, between like just having her hand straight out to like turning it in or turning it outward. And I don't know if they have that articulation in other figures, which I would assume they would because, they could make it a ball joint and it would be super easy to do that, I would assume. But for her character specifically, she does have like these little just straps right here, so it actually makes a lot of sense that they wouldn't even if that's what they do normally, they wouldn't be able to do that in this figure because she has those straps, so it would be even less articulation than a normal figure. And because her hair dropped off, I have to get up and get it now. But her hair comes off because that is actually how you replace her face, because she has two faces. So what you guys were seeing was basically the normal kind of just plain calm face, and then we have sort of the action face, which is actually really easy to put on too. And that is probably one of my favorite things about this figure, if I'm being totally honest, excuse me, is that her face, I switched it out and that's pretty much all there is to it. Her face is on. All you have to do is just pop her hair off and then just pop her face off, and that's it. So that I love, and there's no snapping or anything like that. It's really just, aside from this making me think of Small Soldiers, it's super simple, and there's nothing to it. You just slide it on, and it's basically like just a snug fit sort of thing. and then the hair is also a snug fit for the back of the head, and so that just keeps it all in place. So there's no snapping, which I think is actually really good because that makes it more difficult to actually break if anything randomly happened, like if like if you stepped on it or something, like you can mess up the hair, which the hair does actually bend like a tiny bit. Of course, I think if you put all your weight on it, especially with it being such a tiny little thing, of course you'd probably like crack the hair a little bit, but it's really simple, and it just pops right off, face pops off, put the other face on, put the hair back on, done. So I love that, and like I said, the head is on a ball joint, so you could technically take it off if you needed to for some reason. It would be a little bit easier compared to something that like naturally snaps on. So always love ball joints in action figures and stuff. It just makes it so much better, like just in case if you pull it too hard one way. I don't believe it's hard, I can't really tell, but maybe her arms might be based on ball joints, so that's not 100%. I'm not 100% on that one, but in case something went wrong, for the most part, this whole thing is like just it's ball joints, so you got whatever you want. Elbows, kind of the same thing, so arms go out. You can rotate the entire arm if you want to. You can pose it like that, arm all the way in, just twist and whatever you want there. So that's pretty simple too. Her torso actually articulates, which is pretty cool. So you can a little bit of swivel to the left, a little to the right, tiny bit forward, not so much. If you do it forward, and it might not really show up too well, but there's like a tiny little bit of red, which you might be able to see like right there. So she doesn't lean forward too much, but they actually have where she can lean back quite a bit because she does wear like a shorter shirt, and I guess that does make a lot of sense. So they actually have more of the front of her stomach compared to like her back, so she can't really lean forward. Although I'd still personally prefer that if you could do both. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with her leaning back this far anyway, so I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna have her like action poses, but I guess if you really want to see Sakura's stomach, go for broke. You got it. But you can do that. So left and right, tiny itty bitty little bit forward. Which odds are no one's gonna see this anyway because you'll have it on like a stand anyway. But you can do that and have her like leaning back. If you want, I guess you could do a kick. So I guess that would be a reason for her stomach to be backwards. And I guess that leads to the legs, where the legs are probably the legs and the feet actually, or the ankles more appropriately, are probably where you have the most rigid points of articulation, and that makes sense because of course that's the base of the figure. So you can hear like her legs actually snap in place when you do that. So that is how that's meant to be, and her head is just going to keep falling off until I do it right. This didn't happen the first time. I think I just don't have it set in 100%. But her legs do snap into place, like I said, which you can easily hear that. They are also on ball joints, so it's kind of like, this is weird. But you can see, like, when you look in there, you can see where the, I don't know what it's actually called, but like the little gear, basically. So you see where it's going to snap, but it is also on a ball joint, so you could have it, it's kind of a left and right ball joint, and when you go forward and backwards, that's where it actually clicks into that point of articulation. So I think that's actually cool. As you can see, like, she's totally standing on her own. Like, I don't have anything. So she can actually stand on her own in certain poses, of course. Like, you can't do, like, one leg and she just stands perfectly. That just defies physics. But that's pretty cool. Like, the points of articulation. Her leg can go back fairly far and then, forward as well. Which, once again, similar to her arms, not really being able to go all the way around. The skirt is also fairly stiff. It's not nearly as stiff as this. Like, this is just like a solid, piece of whatever material. And this is definitely like bendable plastic. Like, it's shaped in, which you can see like how it's shaped with sort of the curves and everything and the creases. But it does bend like a little bit. So you can kind of, flip it out like that and stuff. So it does move, so it's got some leeway for sure compared to like where her arms are. Her knees, she's got like crazy extended knees, so when you actually bend, basically her knees looks like it grows because it lets you bend it so far back, and then it kind of goes into her her leg. But lots of pose, sort of the same thing. You can't really hear it, but actually, so you guys might be able, you should be able to hear that. But that is her knee kind of locking into place a little bit. So her knee has that, her leg has that, and her ankles have that as well. So her ankles, this one you can't nearly hear it as well as this one, but like that actually still has like the full-on click sound effect. But yeah, this one is a little bit looser for me, and I would assume that's why it's not clicking as much. But it's still, they both seem to still hold the same poses and everything. So I would just have to put it in the position. It doesn't snap as much as this one. Her right foot doesn't as much as her left foot. For me personally, I'm sure it would be different if you got the figure. But it's very cool. One thing I did notice, because I wasn't sure about this, and where this little line is that you guys see, it's not a point of articulation. Because that's what I thought. I was like, oh, they have it where you can actually like bend their feet like really far down if you wanted to. But it's not like that. It doesn't twist or anything at all. I think it's just how they had to make it. So it's like you can visibly see a line, especially in the side of her shoe, because it's red. You can see like that line right there. So that was something that it wasn't really a disappointment. I just thought that was a cool addition because I'd never seen a figure like that. So technically I still haven't. So it doesn't actually move, but I still think it's a cool figure. I have her other hands as well, and she has, of course, her closed fists if you want to get into like, you know, fighter combat mode. And then you can pop these off, and these it's just a little, I'm not even sure what they're specifically called, but they're basically just the little pegs. That's what they are. So they're just little plastic pegs, and that's all there really is to these. So you just pop them on, you can pop them off. I've done this ever since I was younger for any of the toys that I've had. I'm always a twister. I don't know about you guys, but I've just always been a little worried. Like, I know they just slide straight off, but I always feel like if I pull it hard and I'm even at the slightest angle, it'll like snap it or something. So I always untwist mine. That's just how I've always done it. So that's how I do mine, even when I put them on. Well, also it's a little bit easier to twist them on than it is to just shove them right on there. For me, at least, that's just what I've always done. So these are really easy. Like I said, you just pop them clean off and twist them on, and boom, she's got the open palms. Like I said, it's just as easy as with the face. You know, like you just put the hair in there, you put the face in there, and pop them both right out. Just boom. Switch them and put the hair back in place. Nothing. So I really love that. I like how simple it is to do that. As far as the stand is inside this box. So this is like the full figure base stand, and it has its instructions. There's like 12 pieces or something like that. So these are the instructions for it. It's actually fairly simple, but because I really don't have anywhere to put it still, I don't think I'm going to open that up for a long time. Like, I might put the figure up somewhere, but I won't take out like the plastic pieces and stuff like that, because it's so much extra, and then, you know, I'd have to take it apart again because I have no space, like nowhere to put this. Even the base itself takes up a lot of space. So unfortunately I won't really be able to get to that, but I do have this, which is not a Hadouken, but I can't remember what hers is called. So like a casual person, I'm just going to call it a Hadouken. But you have this, it has its own little stand. This actually was in the plastic with her, so that's like a little thing. So she was here, whoops, that was upside down anyway. But, you know, she's here and you have her hands in her face, and then this stand is by itself, and so is this little plastic piece, and this was by itself. So you just put them together, so you have that if you want to have her do like kind of an action pose or something, which, yeah, they have a couple of pictures on the back right here, and these are really cool. And, you know, that was another reason I really wanted to get this, because it's like, oh, you can see all the different poses and stuff like that. Obviously they edit out, you know, they take out the actual stand for that last pose where her legs like kicking up in the air, of course. But the other poses, I think you can actually pull off. Like, even this middle pose, I think if you balance her out right, you could probably do that, because I had her, when I was standing her up a little bit, her feet aren't exactly perfect, but you know, you'd have to balance her out. Like that one, she's kind of actually her feet are fairly balanced anyway. So it's like her ankle is up like the slightest bit. It looks like in that picture. So maybe you would still need to stand. Oh no, she's standing right now and her ankle's up. So you can do that. Like slight little thing. Like if her ankle was up any higher, she'd fall right over. But one little click, you can definitely make it work. So that's actually kind of cool. You can do some poses you might not expect because they snap into place, some of her joints. So I like that. That's actually really cool. Like I said, all the different little poses. I don't know. This seems to be the only thing I do. Like when I was first doing it, I just kept lifting her arms up, and then she's got like the weird, like zombie thing going on, and like this, Meryl from Metal Gear when she was taking over. It's like, make love to me, Snake. So that seems to be all I can do right now is make her look crazy and have like the crazy zombie pose with the open arm walking towards you. But I like this figure. I think it's really cool. Like I said, Sakura is my favorite character, so that's why I was like, I have to get this specific figure. But I love the articulation. That's really the only reason I got it, was because as much as I love her, it needs to actually be cool. So you can do a lot of different poses. You can do like the crossed arms and stuff, as long as I turn the ball joint the right way. So you can do all sorts of stuff. If, like I said, if you really need to see her stomach, you want to be like that, there you go. You can do that. So lots of stuff you can do with this. The joints work really well, and I love the fact that it like clicks into place. So it's like it's gonna stick. Like when you put it into a pose, it's gonna stick. This is a silly pose that you could do if you wanted to, once you hook up the stand to it. So if it'll focus in, there it is. So if you want to do that, which she has some silly poses, because Sakura, I don't think they have this in the recent one, or in 4, I should say. I don't think she's even in 5, which is a tragedy. But I'm sure she'll be in one of the mega super duper versions anyway. But she has some silly endings as well, especially if you go to like the 2D stuff and like her friend runs in and they bump into each other and stuff. So she has some silly poses you can do, and it would actually fit her character. But I really like this. I think it's really cool. I don't know where I'm going to put it because it's such a tall figure, but it's a simple thing. It's not like I have like Rufus from Street Fighter 4 where he's like super big and takes up a ton of space. I can technically still stand her up. So I do like that as well. Like it is, well, most figures are skinny, so I guess that's not really a bonus. But for me, it's like I really have to kind of balance out my space. But I like this figure. It's really simple. The replacement hands, the replacement face, kind of staples. Admittedly, those are some staples to some bigger figures. Some figures I know don't have that. Not every figure has like the alternate face or alternate hands, or maybe they do. I don't know. Like I said, I only have this, and I have a 0ZX figure, which I'll do a video for maybe sometime next week, and that's a smaller figure. That's what is it? SH Figure Arts, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. Like it's almost spells out Figure Arts, but it stops at the U. So the Figure Arts figure. So that's much smaller. It's not much smaller, but it's kind of like he'd probably come up to like right here on her, I'd say. So it's definitely smaller. The box itself is super tiny compared to this giant thing. The box itself would be like up to here on this box. Like that whole box would fit inside there. Most of this box was seriously that plastic. It was really just that, like that plastic, because they of course need something to put her in. There's like a ton of extra plastic and stuff because she's super skinny. This box does not need to be that wide. So it was really the plastic that kind of made the box so ginormous. But definitely a great figure. If you're a fan of Street Fighter 4, they have a ton of them. When I show off the figures, there's Ken right there. So I don't know why Ken is the person they showed. I'm surprised by that because of course Ryu. But with this being Volume 4, I would have to assume you can get Ryu, Ken, probably Bison. I'd say Vega or Balrog is like the actual name before they went whole, before they were trying to like avoid copyright stuff with Mike Tyson. There goes her hair again, like she's balding. But great figure, highly recommend it if you're interested in figures. I do believe I got this for, I want to say $42. I saw it at a convention. It was like $70, $60 or $70. Like if you go to conventions, you already know. But for those of you who don't, Sometimes you can go to a convention and it'll be like $20 extra, and you go online and it's like, oh, that was $60 to $45. So it can make a difference. That's why I didn't get it at the convention. I was like, I'm gonna look that up, and I found it super cheap. Fortunately, I wasn't scammed because I was worried about that for a second. But I was like, I was on this website AliExpress. It was the first time I ever bought anything there. But fortunately, when I looked, I was like, oh, that's the same person that's on eBay. But they were selling it for like a little bit more on eBay, and I was like, oh, it's the same person, so I'll be fine. So I was a bit happy about that. And plus, I was able to check their actual records on eBay, and then I went to AliExpress. Like, okay, a little bit cheaper. I'll buy it here, and it came, and I was super happy. I was super scared for quite a while. Like, I think I may have gotten scammed, but it all worked out for me. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm happy about this figure. It's really cool. Obviously, there's not too much to it. If I had like the time to do a million different poses, I would. And at some point when I get the space, I'm going to have her in a million different poses, and I'm going to have like a billion pictures and stuff. But I like this figure. It has a lot of cool design to it. It's Sakura, so it accurately looks like her. I love that they have the bandana where it's like super long. It goes like down past her butt almost. So that's kind of cool. It's like a super long bandana thing, which I think ever since Metal Gear, I've kind of loved like super long bandanas. I think that was the first time I ever saw like the super long bandana. So ever since then, it's like super sweet. But I like that. The design is definitely really good. The articulation is great. Obviously, like with all the clicking and stuff, at least for this leg, because the ankle doesn't click so much in this one, but it still locks in place, so it's fine by me. But like I said, I'd recommend this. If you like the other characters, definitely check them out. This is Volume 4, like I said, so probably has a lot more to it. But I would love to know what you guys think about this figure, or if you have any other figures, whether it's from Street Fighter or just any Play Arts figures. I would love to know what you guys think about it. If you happen to know a trick to articulating the feet, if that is real, which I'm assuming it's not, it's just how they had to make the shoe. I would love to know that. But thank you guys for checking this out. Like I said, if you guys have any comments on this figure, other figures, any random questions I can check out for this, if you're slightly interested, I can try to figure out some extra stuff that I may not have shown off yet. Just let me know. And of course, thank you guys for watching.